Magasiva, because the brothers, you guys all, is there something in, was there
Ego.
something, yeah, no.
Yes.
There has to be something in terms of, was this just something in the family? We had your brother,
Yes.
Robbie, and it was another.
What did he say?
Oh, he said it was.
It sucks. Oh my God, this guy's a real
No, he
dude.
said that Mickey Mills. No, he's in the same.
New forms of what it's like to be a Samoan, growing up in another country, and sharing that experience with other Samoans as well. So there's a lot of that in the movie for sure. With our, my upbringing, paying respects to our mothers and our parents. That's also a part of this film. But I think ultimately I have always just wanted to be a filmmaker. I have always wanted to make film. And I've been doing commercials and short films and TV and all these things, and I just never had the opportunity to do a feature film. And when I got the opportunity to do this one, I ran with it. And what I can remember and what I cherish and what I loved is all the Samoan mothers that I grew up with. They were kind, they were funny, they were caring, they had strong direction for the way that they raised their children. And so I wanted to reflect that in a movie. So there's lots of that in there as well, how we've raised our children. Yeah, there's that strong sense of leadership there as well, but there's kindness that comes along with that. And I wanted to reflect that in the main character that we go through. I can look at the piece of work and go, man, I'm so proud of that. We did a bloody good job.
Welcome to Mandate, where we navigate fresh perspectives and nothing is off the table. Tonight's guest is originally from the 685, yes, 685, baby, from Samoa, born in Samoa, but raised in Aotearoa, New Zealand. He also was raised in the 04 Wendy Wellington Hurricanes territory. The man is an exceptional talent. He happens to be a film director. And so you've seen him in commercials, he's done acting, short films, films like We Are Still Here, also Tēnei Sā, The Ancient One, just to name a few. But in recent times, the man has done directed an incredible film called Tina. And so groundbreaking across Aotearoa, even in Australasia, the man has hit a lot of the heartstrings, but pulled a lot of the heartstrings, but has done something incredible in terms of this film and directing this film with amazing actors and amazing cast and amazing people on board. The man, most importantly, is an amazing father, husband, but also has an amazing story to share. Please put your hands together for the man himself, the incredible and talented Miki Magasiva.
Thank you for having me. Sorry, I felt like I was falling off a cliff and just watching you as I was falling. I love it. Beautiful. Thank you for having me.
Oh, man, I love it also. Hey, also, obviously, because the movie's come out, and I guess we can go there, Miki, and nationwide. And like I said in the intro, groundbreaking. And regardless if you think so or not, or whether you know it or not, but it has been. The amount of people that have commented, the amount of positivity, the amount of love, not only from our own people, but the wider community, different ethnicities have said, man, what an amazing movie. So why this movie? Why is it in this time? Why is it so important for you to tell this story now?
I think if I were to go back, I would say a lot of it wasn't up to me. That I've tried to be, I have tried to be a filmmaker for a long time, and so I've tried to get a project up for a very long time now. And so when you're trying a whole bunch of stuff, you're just pitching all the time. And this one just seemed to be the one that everybody wanted to get behind and support. And every time that I showed the idea to someone or the script to anybody, this was the one they wanted to get behind. Now, there's another part of it which has to do with our, my upbringing, paying respects to our mothers and our parents. That's also a part of this film. But I think ultimately I have always just wanted to be a filmmaker. I have always wanted to make film. And I've been doing commercials and short films and TV and all these things, and I just never had the opportunity to do a feature film. And when I got the opportunity to do this one, I ran with it. So a part of that has to do with respecting our parents, paying tribute to the sacrifices they made to come here. But another part of that is just being a desperate filmmaker and wanting to do a film full stop.
Malo. It's interesting because they're people who may be really, really good actors. They're probably good at directing short films or feature films. But what made you think in terms of this time around, in terms of this feature film, Tina? Because some people think, okay, I'm really good at this, and then you find out later on, oh, maybe I'm not cut out for this. But in terms of the movie itself and you directing it, it's fair to say, hey, Miki, and you got to agree, you're cut out for this.
Oh, well, thank you. No, I appreciate that because I've spent a long time trying to prove to people that I have been good enough to do it, and I've just been so stubborn to not do anything else other than this thing. I never gave myself another chance to do anything else because this is what I wanted to do. And often people will say, "Oh, you get up in the morning and I think this is what I'm going to do. I want to do it." I just didn't think about anything else. It was just, this is what I wanted to do. I'm going to go out there and try and make stories, tell my stories. And I never had the chance to do that. I've been a commercials director for a long time. So I was in the commercials world for 15 years or something like that. And I look back at that time with fondness with regards to it was my film education. It was an opportunity to experiment and play with different genres and different styles of filmmaking and craft and story. And, you'd get scripts, hundreds of scripts, and read through all of them. They're shorter and it's a different format altogether, but it does sort of just start to train you and give you an eye for this. So by the time I came around to actually doing the film, I just felt I was ready at that time to do it. And I'm not sure if I'm, thank you, but I'm not sure if I'm supposed to do this, but it's the only thing I want to do. And everything I do, I want to do the best I can possibly do it. And I feel like I've been training long enough for this thing to put everything that I've learnt in when I had the one chance, because it's so difficult to get these up. And when I got that chance, I was just like, you know what, I'm going to put everything into this and just try and make it as good as it can possibly be. And I don't think it's perfect. I think there's a lot of things in there that I, as a filmmaker, would look back at and go, I wish I had more time. I wish I had more money. I wish I had this and that. But I can look at the piece of work and go, man, I'm so proud of that. We did a bloody good job.
Malo. I think it's like for any creative aim, Miki, in terms of refining the craft. And there's always something about it, like even when it's completed, like, oh, you look at it, oh, I could have done that a little bit better.
Yeah.
If I had more time, if I did this, or if it's a visual artist, or if I did this stroke or this contrast and so forth. And so also, I guess the proof's in the pudding, because I watched the film. I heard people who said to me who watched the film, and you know what it's like. When people say, "Oh, you need to watch the film," it's just awesome and so forth, and then you go in there with all these expectations. Hey, Miki, oh, okay, yeah, I've heard, and someone sometimes will even kill the film. And say, oh, this is what happens. Please don't kill it for me. And you go in, and I walked in the cinemas with all this expectation because I heard so much about this movie, and usually when I go inside the cinemas and I watch these films, expectations, and I thought, oh, it doesn't really hit the expectations. And okay, well, yeah, it was great. But it wasn't what I expected, because someone had already told me what to expect. I walked in there, someone had told me what to expect, and I tell you also, unbelievable.
Thank you.
And I'm not just saying just to blow smoke, unbelievable. And I told you earlier on, but I know for some people and people in the audiences in some cinemas got up and choo excited and just standing ovation. And the cinema that we were in, and I took my wife and I went there, date. We watched it. I tell you,
very nice. I like that. Romantic.
Romantic.
The suits. I hope you wore the suit as well.
But we were there, and we sat there, and after the film, it was just this real somber feeling. And we sat there. I looked around. No one moved. No one moved until the credits finished. And so you must get a lot of mixed emotions, or you have heard a lot of mixed responses in terms of the film and what it's done for individuals. And so, because you're Samoan, and because it is about a Samoan woman, Tina, how much of your upbringing, your cultural influences that you, when growing up as a young Samoan, or even now as a Samoan, proud Samoan, as you have imparted or implemented in the movie?
I think it's all of it, really. I mean, if you've seen the film, I touch on a lot of what it is to be Samoan, and I have to say that I probably touch on what it's like to be Samoan who's grown up in New Zealand, is how I'd like to put it, because even though I was born in Samoa and I left when I was 5 years old, I can't remember anything during that period, and I feel like I was genuinely raised in this country. I'm so proud of being raised in this country, that my Samoanness has sort of been garnered from growing up in Wellington and being in the Samoan community in New Zealand. And I think it's a little bit different from having grown up in Samoa, perhaps, that we bring a lot of those cultural identities across with us. But you share those new forms of what it's like to be a Samoan, growing up in another country and sharing that experience with other Samoans as well. So there's a lot of that in the movie for sure. Going to church, as you know, a lot of Samoans would go to church every Sunday. So that's in the movie. Upbringing, what it's like to be brought up through Samoan parents. And one of I'd like to say that one of the main reasons why I wanted to tell this story in particular was because I was getting a little bit sick of the brush that Samoans were being painted with regards to the way they raise their children. This idea that we always discipline our children, we give them hidings. It's with the iron thumb rule. And we scared our children. And that certainly wasn't the way that I grew up, and certainly not what I saw. That there are those parts of our culture, not our culture, but our people, but there are those parts of every single people around the world. And it usually has to do with, not having much and growing up in tough environments. Those households exist all over the world. It's not just through our Pacific community. And what I can remember and what I cherish and what I loved is all the Samoan mothers that I grew up with. They were kind, they were funny, they were caring, they had strong direction for the way that they raised their children. And so I wanted to reflect that in a movie. So there's lots of that in there as well. How we've raised our children. Yeah, there's that strong sense of leadership there as well, but there's kindness that comes along with that. And I wanted to reflect that in the main character that we go through, make fun of that a little bit, because that's what we do as Samoans. We like to have a bit of a laugh at, well, let's face it, everything. So a lot of those things, yeah, like you say, have gone into the movie and have informed the story and the film as you see it. And there's a large part of me in that film, which I'm proud of, because I've spoken and we spoke before about this being more than just a Samoan film. It's a New Zealand film as well that a lot of New Zealanders can connect with as well. And that's because, like I've just mentioned, is that I grew up here. And I'm proud of this country, and I'm proud of my identity and my culture and my roots, and I wanted to reflect that in a film.
And I think you did a great job also, because usually people might think, oh, Tina, so this is a Pacific movie. So it must be for the Pacific people. Only the Pacific people will be able to relate to that movie and the nuances and so forth, the cultural roots. But what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing and what I'm listening to is that across the board, people are saying they relate to the movie. The movie was wonderful. And so with the movie, what did you hope? What did you hope, more so our Pacific community, when people, after watching the film, what did you hope they would get when they walked out of the film watching Tina?
I mean, simple intentions to start with. You just hope that people like the movie. You know, you hope you create a piece of work that people can go and just say, oh, I like that and enjoyed that and had a good time. And when you're putting it together, you don't think of anything else other than that. And you try and make yourself happy, and you try and make yourself laugh and yourself emotional, and then you hope everybody else will feel the same way as you. So I just wanted to make a good movie. I did make it for audiences, so I tried very hard to make a piece of work and a story that lots of people would love. You know, all the movies that I went to as a kid were those kinds of crowd-pleasing films. They were a bit more mainstream. I'm not going to say that I just want to do mainstream films or am only going to do mainstream films, but for this one in particular, I did want to appeal to large audiences. But then once the story is done and once you get into it and you kind of see what's happening and see what's coming out of it, for this project, there was always something special there. People could, when they read the script, they were emotional reading the script. They wanted to come on board and be a part of the story and be a part of my journey in making my first feature film. And so something special started to happen during the process of making this film, that it became more than just about making people happy. It became about creating a piece of work that people could be proud of at the same time, because I started seeing reactions of people that was like, I believe in you, I believe in the story, so I'm going to give all I can of myself to you to help you make this story. So there was a bit of pressure that came along with that. But I've never really been shy of that sort of stuff. I'm a little bit gung-ho like that. I quite like it, embracing that. And so when we started to piece together the film, there was a genuine sense of building responsibility, that we were creating something unique and different and special. Now, you may say that this film has been done before. Yes, I don't think I've seen a Samoan teacher in any of these films before, but you know, a part of that process of making it for audiences and making something special and different that our people could be proud of started to imprint itself in the production as we went through. So there was a building of responsibility, and there was a building of not only making people happy, but making a piece of content that people could look at and go, you know what, we want to get behind that. That was awesome. We believe in that.
Man, awesome. And just going from, because you said making people happy, and that can be quite a big task, an enormous task when you're working with people, and then you're working with the cast and so forth, and lighting and assistant producers and so forth. So you're heading this. You're the director, the main director, and what's your style? What's your director's style or directing style? Because you have other directors who are pretty like you. I think we touched on just a little bit like Iron Fist. Hey, my way or the highway, or they just go, yeah, just do what we just work together and so forth. But what would you say is your kind of style? What kind of style are you trying to unravel when you're working with actors, or with or more so in Tina?
Yeah, I mean, probably my style is an inclusive style, which is built on having really strong leadership, but using all the talent around you to empower you to be better yourself. Actually, I'm glad you touched on it, because it's one of the things that I was very keen for this production was to be able to dictate the tone of the entire production by being at the top. And there's being the director and the writer, but I was also keen to be the producer, because I knew that would help me set the tone for the entire project. And the tone is reflected in the film and the themes of the film, but it has to do with that village Pacific spirit, where no one is too good than the village itself. That you can create an environment where everybody can contribute. Now, you know, these things are said a lot recently, and businesses trying to use that speech a lot, you know, with what they do now. But for us, it was not just talking about it, but actually doing it. It was creating a space where everybody could come in and be very Pacific, like have a laugh, come in and make fun of each other, come in and feel like you weren't in a space where the director is there, the producer is there, I'm over here, I can't talk to this person, I can't talk to this person. It was like everybody needs to talk to each other, have a good time during it. And so I'm very proud of the production in that way, that we were able to create an environment which felt warm, which felt inviting, which felt safe for everybody to share of themselves. Because hopefully what that allowed us to do, and I'm not always sure whether this works, but hopefully it allows everybody to give the best of themselves, that they aren't afraid to give ideas over, that they believe in a project enough in order just to put their heart and soul into a project because they believe in it. And I think we created that environment. So my directing style is inclusive. It's creating a set which feels fun and exciting and allows everybody to thrive and have creative input so that we can all benefit from everybody's ideas in the work. Having said that, I like to have a very strong rein on things. Like I know where things go. I'll have input, but if we've got to go somewhere, I like to really point us in that direction, whether that's time or money or scenes or shots or everything like that. I'm still trying to drive that production forward without, screaming and shouting. Because I just reckon it's so easy to go and scream and shout and get everybody in line. I reckon it's much harder to be inclusive and bring everybody so that they can be in charge of themselves.
Yeah, I would agree also. Because you want to make sure that everyone's obviously being a part of the actual project, but also you want to make sure that there's a bit of ownership in terms of their own creativity as well. But also, like you're saying, it's finding that balance there, Miki, in terms of, hey, this is where it needs to go, as opposed to, no, you're taking it in a different direction. Have there been times, and I guess we could edit it if you want to, but have there been times where during the whole process, during the project, where you're like, hey, you are not listening. You listen. Let's just do this. And when you feel like, hey, and you've had to be like they kind of, hey, I need to kind of stamp my authority and say, listen, this is where we're going.
Yeah, there have, but I still don't think that I say it that firmly. With our production, it's like if somebody is disagreeing with you, we tend to make fun of each other so that you'd rather just not say anything and move on than be made fun of during the production. So that's I like to do it that way. That if we're not getting anywhere, you get made fun of. And the thing that's great about we actually have some really strong people who are great at making fun of others. Our first AD, she was great at it. She was very, very good at taking the piss out of both me and Drew, our DOP. So, you have to be very strong at taking the piss out of each other.
It's kind of like indirectly, just
yes, passive aggressive, make fun,
being tactful.
Yes, yeah. Oh, but then also, I still I don't get angry, but I just I think people just know when you're happy all the time and then you're quiet, something's going on. So I think that's probably as big as I get. Maybe the crew will disagree with that, but yeah.
It seems like it's the harmony and the unity within the crew also. It seems like obviously the premiere saw on footage online. It's man, just you can tell there's a tight knit. It's actually a family that's embedded in the whole project in the film. Also, and you got to admit, Miki. You got to admit also, it's a damn good film. And regardless of what you may say, there's some things I wanted to work on, maybe we could have done better or improvements here and there. It's a damn good film. And so, have there been times, surely, Miki, where you're like sitting here, man,
every day, or just wake up. Oh man! And then just keep going. Yeah, coffee time.
Just watching.
I mean, you know, I'd like to say no, I don't do that, but really, I think we all say at some stage during our lives, yeah, I'm awesome. But no, you know, I'll go back to the edit when I got sent the first cut rough assembly that I'm not involved in. I saw that cut and I almost threw up because I was like, my career's over. It was just the first edit, you know, nobody has talked to it. You know, the editor is not even editing. He's just like putting everything in day after day, scrambling. He hasn't even talked to you about anything. He's just like throwing them into script order, you know, so that the whole film is there when the director comes in and then you can get to work. And so this is common, by the way, if you hear a lot of podcasts with directors, they'll talk about almost vomiting when they see their first cut. And that's what happened to me as well. Even though I'd heard it many times before, I seriously thought, my career is over. This is terrible. But then we went and just started piecing it together. We started from the start and we went through the, you know, scene after scene after scene, and we worked on the whole thing. And when we got to the end, we said, okay, cool, we're done now. It was super long. Let's have a play down. So you sit down and watch the movie going all the way through, and I knew right at that moment we had a good movie.
And so what does keep you grounded? Because, you know, you can. Are you, just before that, you answered that, are you those individuals or one of those individuals, like when you do something that's really great, like, man, you just kind of dwell on it like, man, that was awesome. Oh, that was such a good film. Or are you one of those individuals who, like, after completing something great or accomplishing an amazing feat, you decide, you know, what's next? What's next?
Yeah, the second one. Yeah, what's next? Like, I even can't really comprehend, you know, the scale of what we've been able to achieve just yet. And we've just received so much, you know, positive response from the movie. But you only go and look at the negative ones, you know, and you pay homage and try and respect every positive comment that you read. And I try and get through as much as I can and read all those things. But I don't think at any stage of it you're going, you're amazing, you're Spielberg now, you're, you know, Tarantino. I don't think that ever comes up. I just think you're onto certainly I don't think that. I feel like I'm, like right now, I'm so keen to get onto the next thing. I just want to work on the next thing or whatever the next thing is. So, yeah, the second one, I think.
Yeah, that's good. You mentioned that, you know, you can get all these positive comments and a lot of love across the board, and then you kind of get just that one comment. Could be something negative or a few negative comments. I don't know. What is that, Nikki? Because I do the same thing. Yeah, I think it's just normal. Like, people just, you know, you get some good feedback, and then you just all of a sudden you notice or you magnify or amplify the negative ones. What's that? What do you think that's all about?
I mean, I don't know. I think it's human instinct of survival. That we only focus on the negative stuff because we need to learn from that. Otherwise, the dinosaur is going to bite our heads off. And that's part of what it is to like stories, good stories too. Like that is what drama is. You sit around, you know, whether you sit around a campfire, or whether you go home at the end of the day and you talk to your wife or your partner, or whether you go out with a friend and you start talking, inevitably you'll talk about something negative, right? Or something dramatic. I think just that's part of human nature to always be talking about the negative or mentioning that, because it's not like you go home and, you know, it's all when you talk about all the good stuff that's happened, you can either feel awkward or feel like, oh man, that's a bit boring, eh? What?
the good stuff, the positive stuff is boring.
Guess who slept with her, you know?
But I think you're right. We got two psychologists here, so maybe they can give us.
There you go.
Maybe they can give us some insights.
Are we close? Did we get anywhere near it?
Are we close? Or we are?
Yes. They're going, no, way off.
But yeah, it is. It seems like it is part of human nature. That sometimes we kind of focus and we magnify the negative stuff. And so mentally, because it is the whole premise
Yes.
around mandate and the co-bubble that we do, or the guests that come on is, what do we do? How do we help our men? And so, but more so, what do you do? And when people start throwing those daggers, so to speak, and they try to, I've heard imposter syndrome or lokoleanga, you hear all that, or a bit of jealousy, envy, and they just troll for the sake of trolling. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you wear, what you say, and it can be something really great, and they still want to hate on you. Well, how do you deal with that?
Well, I think I want to say that like dealing with any sort of challenge, or I don't know whether it needs to be a mental issue. It could be any sort of issues. It's such a multi-dimensional approach that it doesn't need to just be one thing. Like, I don't think everybody needs to go and talk to somebody, but I think everybody should go and talk to somebody. I think everybody should take some time on their own, but I don't think everybody should do that as well. So I think there's a lot of ways of dealing with trauma, whether that's going and speaking to a psychologist, whether that's going and just having a coffee or a beer or a dinner with a friend, and you don't even have to talk about the thing, just spend time with them. A large part of certainly what I look at also is exercise, diet, having a hobby. I think there's so many different ways of looking at this thing or trying to deal with this thing that we should be trying all different ways of handling that, because that's what I try and do. I try and do a lot of different things. And also, I'm not going to say everybody should do this, by the way. This is just what I do. I just tell myself the world is tough, that it's not supposed to be easy. And we are in an environment that is set up to challenge us in so many different ways. But I don't like to look at life in a negative context. Like, I like to look at life in a more positive way, and not like a fluffy sort of way. It's just like I get given a challenge, I look at that challenge, and I try and deal with that whatever way it is, because I feel like it's the journey of going through dealing with it that actually leads to the happiness later on, and it leads to the up, because Mother Nature is smart in my mind. She's super, super clever. Like, she likes to balance everything out. So if you have total happy highs, she's going to balance you out with lows, right? But if you always have a low, just know that around the corner, there's always some sort of high that comes along with that. And that she doesn't allow you to live in one space all the time, that there's always some way out of that. So when I'm dealing with challenges, we're talking about the movie. So just looking at a challenge in the movie that I had to go through, which was probably my toughest time in the movie. I think there was a weekend where I thought, there's no way in the world I can do this film. I can't do it. It's going to fall over. And I could not see any way out of it. And I probably had the closest to what I would call a panic attack, even though I got no idea what a panic attack is. I just felt something that was foreign to me. I'd never felt that before, like the world was closing in on me, like there's no way out of this. And the way that I dealt with that was to wake up the next day and go, okay, we're still feeling like shit here, but let's just go one step at a time. Step one was talking to my partner, was going, okay, I'm going through this. It feels stink as, but I just wanted to let you know that I'm going through it. And so she was aware of it, and she started putting things in place to kind of help me out. And then I went to a friend of mine. I went, I'm going through this. I need help. He goes, well, looks like I'm going to have to come on board the movie early. And he came on board the movie early. So bit by bit, we just started figuring it out. And so maybe a week later, 2 weeks later, that had gone, that had abated. And we'd managed to get through it because we just, we just bit off it bit by bit. And finally we came out of it at the end, even though at the time was like, there's no way I'm going to get out of this. I can't make this film. And we did. And so, just knowing that Mother Nature has a good way of balancing things out in all aspects of life is potentially a way that I certainly look at it.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. I like that in terms of the mother nature, in terms of the balance. I can see the psychologist giving us the thumbs up for it, ladies.
Oh, this is
Oh,
okay.
see,
All right.
see,
Look at that. Jeepers, far out.
Look, I'm ready.
All right.
Philosophical.
Oi, when you go with Mother Nature, oi.
No, hey, but it's good. Hey, and it works. I think, yeah, I think this is the more of us who are able to speak. And I think I love what you're saying, that you were able to ask for help, to ask for help. And I think sometimes, and more so as men, and you know that sometimes it's hard for us to, obviously, sometimes to express our emotions, our feelings,
Yes.
but even more so to ask for help.
Yes.
And so it's cool that you had people that you could turn to and confide in it and have the conversation around looking for help. And so I appreciate that, and I love it. That's cool. And it's true. I believe too much of a good thing, sometimes not good. Yeah, there's always going to be a bit of a balance. You're going to have your ups and downs.
Always. Yep.
But you're always going to kind of dance, not dance, but in the midst of adversity, there's always hope. And so
Yes.
there's always there's good feelings and there's not so good feelings, but that's just part of life. And so
it's part of life, and one of those things that I think is also to try and tie them back into that, helping our men out is, there's a part of it that's about we've grown up too tough and we never want to show weakness, but the other side of it is that it's scary as a man to ask for help. That's like we find doing things like that very uncomfortable. That's the fear. It's not looking tough. It's actually just like really fearful because it's a sensitive space, and that's the area that a lot of times I find frightening. Like I don't know how to, for some reason, I don't know how to deal with like drama. I know how to tell stories about drama, but I've got no idea about how to deal with drama. Right? Like if something happens, I'm just like a deer in headlights. It's just possible. And I'm telling my brain, do something. You need to do something. And it just won't move. My body won't move. So there is that fear in certainly me and potentially a lot of us out there that exists. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way, that fear exists. And I don't know how to solve it. But recognizing that heaps of people go through that fear potentially will show you that's just not you. Lots of people go through it. It is very normal for us all to go through that as well. And I've been lucky because I'm in a situation where I can get myself out of a lot of those situations, but not everybody is like that. There's so many people out there who can't come out of that possum and deer and headlights, who can't just, you will yourself. You're telling yourself in your head, do it. And just nothing works. And so potentially knowing that everybody or most people go through that struggle would just maybe just help us normalize it a bit more and let you all know out there that like it's just a natural part of what it is to be a human being and exist.
Miki, are you sure you're not a...
Wait.
Sorry. No, but it's great. I like how you that we actually have the conversation around our men and how to help each other. And I think it's in this day and age, we need to have more men having the talanoa or kōrero around. Obviously, vulnerability and also being able to talk freely about some of the things that we go through, some of the traumatic events. But also saying that admitting it, hey, I don't like drama, I don't like conflict, I don't know how to deal with that. It's kind of like that fight, flight, freeze kind of mode, if you like to call it that way. But just being able to have the conversation. And I've been in workshops or places where people say, hey, men don't like to talk about it, and I think that's true to a point. But what do you think? Do you think we as men, we love to talanoa about some of these things that are going through or happening in our own lives that may be quite dramatic or quite depressing?
Yeah, a bit more sensitive. Look, I think there's a time and place for everything, and I think most people know the time and place for a lot of it, or have some sort of instinct for it. And and yes, we should be talking more about it to the people that you love and trust. But even with your family members, as you all know, it's very difficult to sometimes talk to your family members about that. And there are friends that is more appropriate for you to have those sorts of discussions with. I'll just keep on taking it back to me because that's all I know. I have a friend who I've known, since I was maybe 13 or 14 or something like that. That's not important. But we have those conversations. We talk a lot about how we're doing emotionally. And we're open to doing that. But I don't have those conversations with everybody. Like my brothers, we won't talk about that at all. But what we will do is we will go out and we'll do something physical. Maybe we'll go out and we'll surf. Maybe we'll go out and dive. Maybe we'll go out and chop wood. And then just be together. And that can also help, those sorts of things as well. So I think you need to look at all of the, and sometimes don't even talk, like sometimes we'll just get together. When we went through our tough time, there were moments where people just knew I didn't want to talk. We would just sit there, but it was quite nice just to have somebody sit there. I don't want to say alcohol at all because I don't think that's the answer for most things, but we would just have a beer and we wouldn't talk about anything specifically. We would just be there for each other. And sometimes the people that you're, again, from my experience, sometimes when people need help, they just want you to turn up. They don't want to ask for it. They don't want to call you up. They don't want to do anything. You just turn up at the door or say, come down to a cafe or whatever, and you just sit there and you just be. And that's what I like about having a hobby too. Like I haven't done it for a while now just because movies got in the way of a lot of things, but I love to surf and I have friends that come out and surf. And so as a part of that, you'll be in the car together, you'll go out in the water, you'll just sit there and you'll just look at and you won't do anything. And then you'll go back and feel a whole lot better for some reason that I can't explain. But a lot of a combination of all of these things can help. And perhaps, I don't know, if you know that, all of these things can potentially be ways out, maybe you can have a look at them. But also, look, there are people going through just like tough times, tough struggles that I can't explain. And none of what I'm talking about right now is going to work for them at all. And so, look, I'm not going to, I can't speak for that at all, but I do realize that there are people out there going through really, really hard, much harder moments than perhaps more trivial stuff I'm talking about.
Man, I love also. I like it that you're talking about your own personal experiences in terms of what's happened for you and what's worked for you. I like that. I like that you mentioned that sometimes you don't have to say, or you see someone that you're asking for help, but that person doesn't have to say much. Doesn't have to kind of give you solutions or try to fix the problem or solve your what's happening in your life at the moment. I like what you said. Just be.
Yeah.
I think because you know that saying, silence is gold. You can just sit next to someone. You don't have to say anything. You just be, and that person knows without a shadow of a doubt that hey, I'm here. So I'm here to help you, support you. I like that.
Yeah. I think it's why I'm also trying to say that there's lots of different ways of doing it, because I just think that talking is a great one. And if you can do that, do that. But not everybody is good at that. And one of the things that I think all directors just have naturally in them is their ability to observe people, right? And realize that communication between human beings goes much deeper than just words. I think in the future, in the distant future, when we look back at ourselves now, and once we start to learn about how we behave and act through things that aren't words, through looks, through connection, through hanging out, through being, I think there's there's energy and forces between people that we can't explain right now, but that are not words that can also work. I don't know how that really helps out, because if you don't know it, then how are you supposed to implement it? But I think what I'm trying to say there is that connection can often come through other means than just talking to each other as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. It doesn't have to be verbal. It could be just a presence, could be body language, like you were saying, connection, eye contact. Like, okay, and sometimes people know, like, okay, hey, we do, like, and and our poly and Mamori, you're good. Just you don't have to say all good. We just do that kind of put our head up and kind of shake our head. Hey, we're good. And so you're right. You're right. I think there's a lot of ways that we can do as not only just men, but in general, that it wouldn't have to be doesn't have to be verbalized, but it just can just be hey, body language, bit of touch here and there. And so, and there's several ways, there's a plethora of ways that we could help each other, but depending on what works for that person.
I have a friend who, if he watches this, he'll know. But when we're even when we're going through and talking or trying to support each other through somebody who's gone through some sort of trauma, he will always make fun of the situation, no matter what. That's just him. And he does it in a way that we all know it comes from a loving place, right? And so that's his way of handling that. He puts us in situations where all we're doing is just talking about our past. What were we like when we grew up? Situations we went through when we grew up, and just having a laugh at the memories. And so that's all we'll do. We'll just talk about, old memories and have a laugh with each other about old memories. And then that will just start off more and more conversations about old memories, and we'll just be in fits of laughter after a while. And when you finish the conversation, you're like, man, I felt real good after that, I've exercised something there. There's some chemical thing through laughter that has worked just then, that can also work for those situations.
Yeah, man. Well, they do say that laughter is like great medicine. It's like good medicine. Yeah. And so you're right, especially for our people as well. We obviously like to banter, we like to laugh, and it's just something that, like you said, this is a chemical reaction in our bodies, that something that laughter does to help us during those hard times and to cope with some of those hard times as well. You mentioned something about when you grew up together, and you mentioned your brothers. I'm not too sure, and I hope we can touch on this, Miki, because the Magasiva name, whether you like it or not, it's quite a household name. People know the Magasiva brothers.
Yep.
You got Robbie, you, and Pua. What was it like? What was it like, the trio, the brothers growing up together, the Magasiva household and the brothers? What was it? And be honest, brutally honest in terms of.
Oh no, it's amazing. When you go through it, it's a house of 5 boys. There's a lot of testosterone in a house with 5 boys, and there's a hierarchy. When you're younger, that you cannot cross those lines. When you're younger, so a very masculine household to grow up in. But my mother was a very strong figurehead for us, who wouldn't let us get out of line, but also have that loving spirit that Marita has in the film as well. So it was an awesome household to grow up. Very, lots of sports. We were outdoors a lot. Lots of laughter. I think much like everybody of our generation, even now, I don't want to, downplay anybody's generation. But it was filled of hanging out with your cousins, sleepovers at your cousin's house, going to church, going to school, going to sports events. My dad was probably the original diver in Wellington, scuba snorkeler in Wellington, and I believe in that too, by the way, because there was no one doing it when he was doing it. So he would take us outdoors all the time, like diving, snorkeling, doing all of that stuff. Probably the original poacher too in Wellington, by the way. Before
What was the question?
Before fisheries came up, got really serious about it. My dad was doing it, so so just like a really Boise sort of household, lively, fun, lots of laughter, lots of performance as well, but just great fun to grow up in.
Well, because we had your brother
Yes.
Robbie, and it was another.
What did he say?
Oh, he said it was
He sucks. Oh my god, this guy's real.
no, he said that Mickey Mills. no, he said the same thing. He said it was just a household of brothers, a band of brothers, but just real. It is there's testosterone and so forth.
Yep.
But a lot of love, and he did mention your mom and your dad. It's just,
Yep.
and so it's cool because the Magasiva brothers obviously. I do believe we were in the same era because I remember the Lyft commercials.
Yes.
And and because people always often kind of refer to, oh yeah, Robbie Magasiva, Pua Magasiva, and then sometimes like, oh, who's the other brother? Because you were behind the scenes.
Yes. Who's that guy?
Yeah, who's the behind the scenes? And so, in terms of the acting, was there ever a path where you felt like, maybe if directing doesn't pan out, I should just follow suit like with the brother and just kind of maybe acting might be that route that could bring me forth some sort of a joy. So to speak.
I think it was the other way actually. When I first started, I got into the film industry because Rob had seen me in my school used to do a play every year, and when I would like a lot of other schools, when you're sixth form and seventh form, year 12 or 13. Everybody would go into the school production. So when I was sixth form, our school did West Side Story, and I had never done any of that sort of stuff before, actually. But I went along with all my friends, and I got cast in a feature role, action. He sung a song, Officer Krupke, for all those West Side Story people out there. And he saw me in that theatre production, and he was already acting and had an agent, and he said, I really think you should talk to my agent. So I did. We got the same agent. And so I started off on the road of being cast as a 16-year-old, doing, those TV2 promos, going around in a scooter with the young, beautiful girl. And so I got cast in all of those. And at that stage, I thought I wanted to be an actor because I loved being on set. I didn't know at that time it was a calling to be behind the camera. So the first years I was 16 or 17, 18, no, probably 16 or 17, I thought I would be an actor then. But I soon realized it wasn't about acting. It was just about being on set. And so when I left school, I thought, I'm going to get into the film industry. I just don't know what I want to do yet. I just want to get in. And so that's where it all began. So the Lift Plus came because I was working for the production company who was doing those sets of commercials, and they were casting a whole bunch of people, and they were like, oh, well, you guys are funny. Why don't you guys just audition? And so we did, and everybody who got that were our friends. Pua was in it, and Pari was in it, and we went through Conrad as well. He was in it as well. So it was because I was behind the scenes and dabbling and being in front of the camera every now and then that people sometimes go, did you ever want to be an actor? But no, I always wanted to be behind the camera, once I figured out what I really wanted to do.
Wow. Because there has to be something, Miki, in terms of the Magasiva, because the brothers, you guys all, is there something was there
ego?
Yeah, no.
Yes.
There has to be something in terms of, was this just something in the family that you guys just knew? It's just, was a white Sunday? Was it something that you just go perform, we like to perform, whether it's on the camera or on stage? What is it about the Magasiva family and that you guys were all on TV or behind the scenes or behind the camera?
I just think that we got lucky. I think Rob got lucky because he found his passion early of wanting to be an actor. He was involved in theatre sports really early, and it was a massive thing back in the. I think there was even a program back then that featured theatre sports through colleges in the competition. So I think he fell into it really early. But I genuinely believe that there are lots of Pacific Island families out there that when their parents have their parties, they go and do their performances and have to come out into the kitchen and do your little performances for the parents. You get your Michael Jackson record and then you play Michael Jackson and then somebody has to come out and dance. And our family did that every now and then, We were a very, we loved entertainment. I just think people of our generation are like that. And if only they had opportunities to be in the film industry or be in the entertainment industry in some sort of way, I think we would see more Pacific Islanders in it. It was just lucky that Rob had done that. He'd gotten in through theatre sports. He got an agent early. That opened a door for me to get an agent as well, be involved in acting from a young age. And then Pua came along and he saw what Rob was doing and what I was doing and getting into it. So I just think it was luck that our family got into it, but I think a lot of Pacific Island families are performers, are natural performers, because we all know them. We talk to them, and there are way more charismatic Pacific Islanders out there than our family.
Man, I agree. Yeah, in terms of, I think our people are natural entertainers. And I've seen it time and time again. I know a lot of people in my own family, they're natural entertainers, like to sing whatever it is, just really natural. And so you weren't one of those kids in the 80s, were you? In the 80s, where you have your boombox and you would take your mat and you would take your mat through the backspin and the breakdancing. Were you part of that era?
So I think that was just, we could just never afford a boombox. I don't think we had one for ages. And every time I saw one, I was like, whoa, wish we had one of those. We only ever had, my mother worked in the record factory. I think Rob may have mentioned that. But she used to bring home like records for Africa. And so we had so many records at our house, and we'd have a record player. So that's all we played. We never had a cassette tape player, and I wanted one desperately because I always just thought the Flash families had them. We never had a VHS. We'd always go to our cousin's house to watch the videos. But I think our parents were just busy feeding us, maybe, that we didn't have the Flash shoes, didn't have the vinyl mat to put down, and then come. We didn't. I don't think our family went through a phase, a hip hop phase. We were more like Michael Jackson. Rob used to watch. The listen to the Carpenters, all of the. It was potentially a little bit more melodic. And funnily enough, my son knows way more about 80s, 90s hip-hop than I will ever know. So if I need any questions answered, I just go to him and he just tells me all about it.
Hey, man, that mom taught you well, man. The music, the 80s, that's the 80s and the 90s. That's the jams. But you know what's so interesting? You mentioned it earlier in terms of back in earlier in that era, in terms of brown faces being represented on television and so forth.
Yeah.
It seems like in the waters something's happening. There's a movement, there's a lot of Pacifica who are killing it at the moment. Depending on what space they're in, the movie scene and so forth. Maybe you can talk a little bit, because I know you're the co-founder with Mario, the Brown Factory. And so, it was stemming about Pacifica stories and so forth. What is it? What is it that is happening in this day and age that you're seeing a lot of our Pacifica young men and women thriving in the entertainment industry now?
Well, it's a combination of a lot of things. It's trendy to be brown right now, which is great. And so it makes it a lot easier when people find value in whatever it is that you have. And so I think there is some sort of value in the brand of being Pacifica and being brown, which is starting to thrive at the moment, which is great. The other side of it too is that we have artisans that are now maturing into positions whereby we can create these things now. So we're able to bring more through at the moment too. And then I just think, like we were just talking about before, I think Pacific Islanders find it natural to be in these spaces. I think they can thrive in these spaces. And so that's why they're drawn to those spaces as well. And when you see more and more people who look like you succeeding in those areas, you are more inclined to go and try that thing out, which wasn't the case when we started. And so I think it's a combination of a lot of things. But what I do know is it's super exciting to be brown and doing creative at the moment. And there should be nothing holding you back, by the way, of doing that right now, because there's just so many, way more opportunities than there used to be when we first started off. That's not to say that we continue to need help to do that. The reason why Mario and I started up the Brown Factory is because we were never given opportunities to do any pieces of work. No one came up to us and asked us, and we've been in the industry for many, many years, and no one ever came up and said, hey, what are you guys doing? You've been doing it for a while. Here's an opportunity, or here's some investment, or here's some financing. You guys can do it. We never got that, and we were just getting super frustrated. Like year after year after year of training and doing our craft, no one was giving us an opportunity. So we just got to the point where we said we want to do it ourselves. And so we started up the Brown Factory, and the first film that we were going to make was this one. And we put ourselves as producers with this film because we wanted to control the narrative. We wanted to have our own IP, and we wanted to be able to do more stuff after that. Because when we first set about doing it, you couldn't. The missing link was having that role of being a producer, or having that credit of being a producer. And if you didn't have that credit, you couldn't get anything off the ground. So we fought hard to be producers for our film and to own our IP. Because the other thing that we could not understand was, like, it was going to be our idea. We were going to write the script. We were going to direct it. We were going to use our 20 years of industry knowledge, 20 years of industry experience, 20 years of industry connections and relationships to bring them on board to do this project. We were going to sell it off our names, and then somebody else was going to take all the money for that. And we just did not understand that. So we put ourselves in there and we fought hard to do it. And so the goal was to be able to do a successful film that could prove to investors and funding bodies that we were worth investing in, so that they would continue to invest in the company and us as creatives, so that we could get a bigger slate. And once we got a bigger slate, we could try and bring in the next generation. So that's why we created the Brown Factory, because we just think our stories are cool. Our stories are unique. Our stories are different. And they don't have to just be Pacific stories, but they are from a Pacific lens. No matter what way you look at it, it's through a Pacific lens. We love comedy. We do comedy well. And even if we were to do another film that's not Pacifica at all, it'll have that in its spirit. So yeah, that's why we wanted to do it.
It's so cool. And I'm sure you're glad. I know you're glad that you and Murray have gone ahead and done the Brown Factory. Because sometimes when you're not given the opportunity, hey, Miki, and you, as much as you go out there and you put yourself out there and you try, it's kind of like hitting a brick wall. You're not given the opportunity. It's sometimes you just have to create your own lane, and it's all yours because it's your IP. It's what you've come up with, and it's all your ideas. And for those who didn't invest in you prior to now, what do you say to those guys now?
Suck it. Told you to invest in me. You wala you.
Yeah.
No. There is a little bit of that in there, I got to admit. I just genuinely hope that they are starting to see value in our stories. And you can talk all you like about, what you think our stories are. But no one is going to invest in your stories unless you can show that is worth something. And so a large push for our movie was to make it financially successful so that investors could look at Brown stories on Brown creatives, Brown professionals, and go, you know what? These people are good at what they do. They have an international standard work and experience. They're worth investing in. Now, you're never going to get any investors looking at you if you just do a story that nobody wants to see, right? And so a large part of doing Tina was to try and make sure that audiences were there, that they were coming in, that they were seeing a product that they could all be proud of, that everybody could see and was of value. And at that point, you can start to usher in the next generation of people. Because hopefully those investors that weren't asking me and Mario for anything before can now go to all of our other Pacific creatives and go, hey, what have you guys got? Because we just saw this film did really well, and now we'd like to hear your stories.
Yeah.
So that was a part of the ambition for the film too.
That's good, and they're really taking notice now, eh?
Yeah, they really are.
Yeah. The cool thing about it is, I don't know, and you might disagree. You kind of spearhead this, you and Mario, and others before you, the Oscar Kiteleys and so forth, in terms of the pioneering. And it is, I think, what you haven't mentioned it, is that it's hard work. It's the hard labor, the hard yakka. People think, oh, got talent. Oh, I'm really good at this. I can act. I can get up and entertain people. I can write a script and so forth. But I don't see the product or the process or the journey. They just see the final product. Oh man, what an awesome movie! I can do that easy.
Yep.
I can do that. I've got the same skills as Miki, but they don't see the work, the labor, the tears, the blood, the hardship, and the struggle. And you've done it. You and Mario, the proof's in the pudding. You've done something. You produced and directed a movie that, without a shadow of a doubt, like I said before, is incredible.
Yeah.
And people need to hear that. People need to see that. And also, what do you say to those individuals who think, "Oh, I could do that," and they haven't lived experience, or just they may have the talent, but the hard work or the work ethic is missing.
Jeepers, if the work ethic is missing, I would tell you give up. Don't even try and look at it, because look, this like anything, you can get a lottery ticket to be a filmmaker as well, but that ain't gonna last very long, right? I'm from old school way of looking at things. Like, I always believe in hard work, doing your time, getting experience, getting work done, working with other professionals to get that base, so that you can, so that you are able to be in a strong position when you do finally get that chance to do a piece of work that you are going to be proud of yourself. So, much like anything in life, no, it's not easy. You can't just turn up and do it. Like, one of the things about the film industry is that if you want to be the director, you can plant yourself on set, and you're surrounded by so many professionals that they can actually make that dream of yours come true, because if they're good enough, they can actually make you good as well. But I don't roll like that. I don't do that. I would rather make sure that I am the one that's telling everybody what we want, and we're going to do it together, and I'm going to be taking most of the shoulder, a lot of the responsibility for doing that. And so I'm old school. Like, if you want to be a film director and you think you can just turn up on set, I just prefer you not turned up at all. But if you do want to be a filmmaker, I think you should go out there and shoot your stuff and work with people and get experience under people. Keep shooting. And then when you do finally get that opportunity, if you're lucky enough to get it, then you'll be in a much stronger position to make these great pieces of work that not only other people can be proud of, but you can be proud of. Like, one of the when I was young, man, I think I started directing when I was 25 or something like that. And when I was that age, I was like, give me a film now. I am ready. I'm going to go smash this thing out. I've seen all the films. I can do it. And then the first day I got an opportunity to be on set, I was shooting a 15-second commercial. Pee my pants. Everybody was asking questions. I was looking around. I didn't know what to do. I was just, yeah, that shot looks good. I'm just going to go talk to the actors. And then I go talk to actors for ages and not tell everyone what to do, And I look back at that time, because I was so hungry to do a film back then, and I would have given anything to do it. And I look back at it and go, I wasn't ready at that time. And having gone through the process now, 15 years later to 20 years later, I'm so glad I took the time to get that experience, to work in those different areas, to work under really, really great professionals who taught me different crafts, and I've worked in virtually all the different areas actually. And so now I'm so glad that I was finally got the opportunity after I had done what essentially was my education in filmmaking, that entire period. So that, like, when I walk onto set now, the scary part for me is not being on set. I find that very easy now. I find shoots really easy. I find all of that stuff really easy. It's all the stuff behind that still scares me to this day. The financing of it, the producing of it, all that sort of stuff still scares me. But I think it was because I had experienced so many shoots getting to that point that when I finally got the opportunity to do a film, I was like, man, I'm ready for this now. So yeah, I would encourage everybody who wants to be a filmmaker and thinks they could do it. You actually can. But I would prefer that you just went out and got lots of experience before you did it.
Awesome, man. Some great advice. And I can guarantee that those who are watching or listening, they're going to garner some good sound advice of what you're just saying in terms of film directing. They're going to take it on board and, hey, that's good. I need to do that. I need to kind of work on myself, because you know it is. And you can't deny that there's a sense of instant gratification, you know, and you're not just other generations in terms of want this now, but besides the delayed gratification, just learning and refining your skill and your craft. And that's just great advice also. Just going back to the film also, if we can. Right at the end, that final scene, and then just before the credits roll out, it says, dedicated to Pua Magasiva. Also, that because it was already, my emotions was already heightened in just watching that last scene, and it just finished, boom, and then you see dedicated to Pua Magasiva. Also, and I don't know, and totally up to you. So you can say, hey, no, we don't talk about that. But I do want, because and homage and respect, I acknowledge you also the also Pua Magasiva. We've been talking about well-being, asking for help. How do we navigate some of the hardships and struggles that we go through? Also, how were you able to cope, or how were you able to navigate that hardship in terms of Pua's death?
I think like looking back at it now, because I didn't really know what was happening at the time when I was going through it. I was just going through pain and grief, and I really just didn't know what I was doing. I was just existing. But when I look back at it now, I think one of the good things that I did for myself was accepting the fact that this was my new reality. That his passing has happened, and this was going to be my life from now on. And accepting the grief. I'm going to say it anyway, but I don't think everybody should really take this on board. But I myself needed something. Like I myself needed to go through what I considered a constant reminder of him. And I speak about it in terms of having to go through the pain all the time, right? Because I was speaking before about handling trauma really badly. So I still remember when I found out it was 3 o'clock in the morning, and my brother knocked at the door, Rob, and he opened the door, and he let me know. And I felt absolutely nothing. And I was paranoid about not feeling anything at all. And that happens because, I don't know, maybe you're in shock. It happens because maybe you don't believe it yet, that the reality hasn't set in. I think it was a combination of all of those things, and my inability to deal with stress and trauma very well. And so part of my way of getting through it was like telling myself, this is your new reality. A way that you can celebrate his memory is to accept it and live with it, make it a part of your life, and be constantly reminded of it. Because I myself, again, just talking for myself here, don't want to lose that memory of him. and I try and keep it alive as much as possible, because I like thinking about him, and I like having him there. And when people have asked me, you dedicated the movie, I'll always say he drove me to it, because as a part of that, I felt support, I felt comfort, and having a constant reminder he was there. And I don't want to use that as something to bog me down, because I think that would disrespect who he was. I want to use him to empower me to be better. He was the one person that believed in me when nobody else believed in me. He would always talk about me to other people and said, this guy's going to be amazing. Look out for this guy. He would always say that. And so I promised him I would make a film. And so when the opportunity came up to make this film and dedicate this film to him, I wanted to do that. I wanted to pay homage to him, and I wanted to use it to empower me to be better, because he believed in me. He thought that I could do it. And so I just want to honor his memory by trying to do it and trying as hard as I can every day to just go, you know what? I'm going to use the bro here to be better, to empower myself to do these things. And I don't think it's an accident that just after he passed, that is literally when things started to really happen for me. So yeah.
And I don't love also, hey, also, and I don't mean to be disrespectful in no way, Miki. And I know your brother, and just it was what I saw of him in the films, and obviously Shortland Street and so forth on radio, larger than life. You seemed like a real character, larger than life. And you said that you wanted to honor him, and I know. I feel like you've done exactly that. You have honored him with this film, and I'm not just saying it for the sake of saying it, Miki. It's just you have, and just it was very confronting, because when it came, I was like, wow, what an incredible way to honor him with this incredible film. And so, also mad respects, and thank you for being honest, and being able to talk to this, but also to share just some of your thoughts, some of the feelings and emotions around Pua Magasiva, your brother. But also, just one last thing. I don't want to kind of leave it on this kind of emotion, but I do want to ask you, what's next? Because the legacy. Everyone talks about legacy. You have your son here, your amazing son here, and then obviously, I don't know, you're going to have grandkids or whatever. You're going to have grandkids in the future. But there's always legacy. There's always something that we want to leave behind as a man, as a father. We want to leave behind whatever it is, and it may not be around film. What is it? What legacy are you wanting to leave behind that people will say, "Wow," and be remembered for, whether it be in film or in life in general?
So let me make all the mothers happy by saying I just want to. One of my legacies is to raise a good man. So hopefully all our mums will be happy with that one. And the other side of it is just an ambition side of it, where I have always thought that I was born to do this craft. And you were talking before about, do you ever say that you're awesome? I don't know if I say that I'm awesome, but I think I'm really good at this thing. And so I want to be in a position where I have done a series of work that can be placed up there as certainly one of the best to do it here. But I don't know if I'll get there or if I'll ever get there, but that's my ambition. That's where I want to get to. And I feel like this is just the start of it now. You know, it's funny when people a lot of people ask me, oh, can you come and speak to this? And, you guys have pioneered this and you guys have done that. Like, I don't feel like I've done anything. I've done like one feature film, and my ambition is to do like multiple feature films that I can look back at and say, some of these are good, some of these are stink, but some of these are amazing, and be proud of that work. And this was a really good start. So we'll see what happens from here.
Yeah, man. I feel like it's just a catalyst of things to come. Also,
I hope so.
I do have a script for you. Just after you can have a look at it. It's called Snow Brown. Have you seen?
Wee. Reservoir Dogs, mate. With this dude.
No, but I really believe so. And you know, they say that when people say that, I'm really good at something, this still the case. Not true. It's what people say about you, and you know, you don't have to say it that you're awesome because people will say it for you. Also, 100%. And I'm not just saying, like I said before, I don't glazing over people just because of the sake of glazing, but also 100% what you've done and the work I've seen thus far into your feature film in Tina is awesome. Also,
thank you, bro.
100% awesome, and I mean it also. And I pray and I will hope for greater things, and I really believe so. Just like Paul was saying, hey, this guy, you need to see this guy. This guy's the man, bro. I know doors are going to open. And people, those who didn't invest, they're going to regret it. And those,
it's never too late.
Yeah, never too late. Never too late. But all the best,
Thank you,
best
brother.
with your endeavors. But all the best in terms of upcoming events. Was there anything upcoming that you're working on at the moment? That
nothing concrete. No, nothing concrete at the moment. I'm trying to get something back up and running. I have fallen in love with doing feature films, so I'd like to get back on the horse as fast as I can. But these things don't happen quickly. But yeah, man, we'll see what happens. Hopefully, some people out there will help me get the next one up and running.
Yeah, please. This is the man that we need to have more films. But I'm also absolutely a privilege, absolute pleasure, and honor to have you on the podcast. But we never leave our guests empty-handed.
We.
Also, I always do a bit of a caricature or a sketch or a cartoon of how I envision our guests to be. Also, and not just that, I always want to make sure that you go in with something to celebrate. The continuous celebration of Tina, not only Tina, but the future films or future films that are going to happen in the very near future. Also, this is on behalf of the Mandate team.
Thank you very much.
I love Soy also.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much. Look at this. I love it. Oh my God.
Thank you.
Wait.
God, sorry. But also, now, thank you so much, Miki. We always leave the last words for our guests. Miki, any last words to encourage the viewers and the listeners out there? Yeah, sorry. The mic, we missed it. Any last words? We leave it to our guests. Any last words to encourage our viewers and our listeners? Or yours also.
I might actually take this opportunity to just thank everybody out there who's supported the movie, who shared their stories with us, who have reached out and told us about opportunities to be able to take their loved ones, to be able to take their children, to be able to take their parents to see the movie. All of those stories have meant so much to us, and I underestimated the capacity that we, or the impact that we can have as creatives. And so for all those creatives out there, I would say you can have a massive impact on people's lives by doing your work and expressing yourself. So I would encourage you to do that. And for everybody who's come and watched Tina and gone 2 times, 3 times, 5 times, 6 times, I want to say from the bottom of my heart, from all of our cast and crew, I just want to say thank you for Deadly Lover. We really appreciate it, and I'll be out there trying to do a few more bits and pieces for you all. So thank you so much. Deadly Lover.
And please don't forget to subscribe. Once again, the incredible film director, Miki Magasiva.